Hello, all. In the previous part, we met people of different regions on the way to meet King Tondaiman Ilantirayan. We are going to continue our journey as we meet more people, relish different types of food, and learn the lifestyles of people who lived back then. அந்தனரது உறைவிடங்களில் பெறுவன செழுங்கன்று யாத்த சிறுதாட்பந்தர் பைஞ்சேறு மெழுகிய படிவ நல்நகர் மனை உரை கோழியோடு ஞமலி துண்ணாது வளைவாய் கிள்ளை மறைவிழி பயிற்றும் மறைக்காப்பாளர் உரைப்பதி சேப்பின் பெருநல்வானத்து வடவையின் விளங்கும் சிறுமீன் புரையும் கற்பின் நறுநுதல் வழக்கை மகடு ஊவையின் அறிந்து அட்ட சுடற்கடை பறவை பெயர்படுவத்தம் சேதா நறுமோர் வெண்ணையின் மாதுளத்து உருப்புரு பசுங்காய் போளோடு கறி கலந்து கஞ்சக நறுமுறி அளையிப் பைந்துணர் நெடுமரக் கொக்கின் நறுவடி விதிர்த்த தகைமான் காடியின் வகைப்பட பெருகுவீர். Enter the abode of the Brahmins. Young calves tied to the slender pillars supporting the tent over dung-mopped floors, abodes where no hens nor dogs enter, where even parrots repeat and chant the Vedas. Protected by the Brahmins, to their abodes you enter, like the northern star shining bright and pure and chaste, with fragrant forehead and brightly bangled arms. The women will serve well-cooked rice of a special name, along with thickly churned buttermilk and pomegranate pearls marinated in the butter and sprinkled with pepper, curry leaves spluttered and taken from green and tall tree with cluttered branches bearing tender mangoes, pickles so fragrant and spicy will you be served. Here the poet explains that the next stop would be in a small place with narrow streets with houses that would have cows and calves tied to the post and the porch. Every front yard would be mopped with cow dung, which is very traditional practice of South Indians, and the houses would be perfectly clean. They would have no signs of dogs or hens anywhere on the street either. The poet says that this would be where the Brahmins resided. He says that they can enter any of the houses and they would find hospitable women ready to serve them food. He says that the women folks in that place would be so divine looking, with vermilion tilak on forehead, lot of bangles on their arms, and they would be chaste as the ancient symbol of chastity, Arundhati, the wife of sage Vasishta. According to legends, the sage and the wife became stars in the constellation, and though they are two in number, they would look as if they are single star when looked with naked eye. The poet says that the Brahmins' house one would serve with hot piping rice cooked perfectly, with curry leaves spluttered in oil, with powdered pepper, thick buttermilk, and pomegranates led to marinate in thick homemade butter. As a side dish to the thick, tasty curd rice, the women would also serve them tender mangoes pickled, or rather what we call mavadu, with blended spices perfect. நீர் பெயற்ற என்னும் ஊரின் சிறப்பு வண்டலாயமோடு உன்துறை தலையில் புனலாடு மகளிர் இட்ட புலங்குழை இறைத்தேர் மணிச்சிரல் இறை செத்து எரிந்தன புல்லார் பெண்ணை புலம்பு மடர் செல்லாது கேள்வி அந்தனர் அருங்கடன் இருத்த வேள்வி தூணத்து அசையி யவனர் ஓதிம விளக்கின் உயர்மிசை கொண்ட வைக்குறுமீனின் பைப்பய தோன்றும் நீர் பெயற்று எல்லை போகி. Significance of நீர் பெயற்று. Playfully dropped at the gushy banks by dame who bathed dear gold danglers, mistaken for prey by bluey fisher birds, not taking the palm lobes that nestle birds, wise scholars presented with pillars planted atop on the masts of the Greek ships, the lamps that aglow far, like the Venus on the broad dark sky, over the border of Neer Payatru, the harbour town. The poet here introduces us to the harbour town of Ilantharayan's kingdom. According to historical facts quoted in several works of Sangam literature, there were four important harbours in the southern part of India during the Common Era. They were Korkai, the harbour town of Pandya kingdom, Pugar or Kaveri Pumbattinam, also called Pattinapalai, the harbour of Chola kingdom, Eyirpattinam, the harbour town of Oiman kingdom of Nalliyakodan, and Neerpeyatru, the harbour town of Tondainadu of Ilanthirayan. It is said that the present day's Mahabalipuram was the ancient Neerpeyatru. So the poet says that the women folks of Neerpeyatru used to place their gold earrings along the banks of the lakes and ponds while taking bath. Mistaking these ornaments for some bug or prey, the birds used to swoop down and take them away. Later they would drop them elsewhere once they noticed not a prey at all. The birds would sit on pillars erected along the shore instead of flying off to their nests on the palm trees. These pillars would have scholarly inscriptions as well. Poet says that when the birds perched the pillars, they would resemble the brightly glowing lamps on the masts of the Greek ships that traveled with the help of Venus, the star, in the sky. Kadarkarai Pattinam. பார்க்கேள் வாழ் உலை புறவியொடு வடவளம் தரும் நாவாய் சூழ்ந்த நளிநீர் படப்பை மாடம் ஓங்கிய மணன்மலி மருகின் பரதர் மலிந்த பல்வேறு தெருவின் சிலதர் காக்கும் சேனுயர் வரைப்பின் நெல் உழு பகட்டோடு கரவை துண்ணா ஏழகத் தகரோடு எகினம் கோட்கும் பூளுடை நல்லில் கொடும்பூன் மகளிர் கொன்றை மென்சினை பணித்தவழ்பவை போல் பைங்காள் அல்குல் நுண்துகில் நுடங்க மால்வரை சிலம்பில் மகிழ் சிறந்து ஆளும் பீலி மங்கையின் இயலிக்கால தமணிய பொற்சிலம்பு ஒலிப்ப உயர்நிலை வான்தோய் மாடத்து வரிப்பந்து அசையிக் கைப்புனை குறுந்தொடி தத்த பைப்பைய முத்த வார்மணல் பொற்கழங்கு ஆடும் பட்டினமருங்கின் அசையின் Harbour town. Milky white horses and goods from the north brought ashore with the huddle of ships. Sandy streets with lofty abodes, natives of the shores who reside for ages. Traders who protect the huge marketplace where cows and plowing oxen meet. Goats rub shoulders with their guard dogs, food-serving homes run by jeweled women. Like tiny dew on golden cassia flowers, their fine attire strewn with fine beads. Like the peacock along the big slopes, the trivial plumes spread and strut so fine. They do with their anklets jingle along the high-raised mansions sky high. Their bangles jingling around their slender wrists in the pearly sand covered with golden decors. May you rest in the harbour town. The poet says that the harbour town of Neerpeyatru is a busy seashore. One can always find fleets of ships loaded with fine horses brought from far away. You will also have several riches, exotic goods from the north. The streets will be covered with fine sand. The houses of Neerpeyatru will be tall and huge, and the marketplace will be very big. The streets will have cows, oxen, goats, their guard dogs, and the poet says that the huge mansion will have beautiful women who wore dresses made of fine fabrics that were highly decorated. He says that they would serve fine food to all the guests who arrived there. He compares the walk of the women of Neerpeyatru to that of peacocks on the mountainside. They were so elegant, and the poet suggests they rest for the day there. பட்டினத்து மக்களின் உபசரிப்பு முட்டையில் பைங்குடி நுடங்கு பலர் புகுவாயில் செம்பூ தூய செதுக்குடை முன்றில் கள்ளடு மகளிர் வள்ளம் நுடக்கிய வார்ந்து உகசில் நீர் வழிந்த குழம்பின் ஈருஞ்சேறு ஆடிய இரும்பல் குட்டி பல்மயிர் பிளவொடு பாயம் போகாது நெல்மாவல் சித்தீற்றி பண்ணாள் குழி நிறுத்து ஓம்பிய குறுந்தாள் ஏற்றை கொழுநினை தடியோடு கூர்ணரா பெருகுவீர். The hospitality of the townsfolk. Flagpoles and support where toddy relishers enter, a path strewn with scarlet flowers to the house, where women spilled droplets while washing that blended into the cooked broth, the little ones that curled in damp swamp, unwilling to join the thick fur sauce, rice flour beaten and eaten for ages, the male pig that guarded them all will yield the fattiest of meats and toddy too. Poet says that as one walks along the seashore, there would be few huts with broad canopies. The entrance to the huts would look grand with red flowers strewn all over, and these huts housed the traditional toddy brewers. There would be women who brewed toddy in vessels that were constantly washed and cleaned. He says that if the troop would stop there, they would be served with broth and cooked meat of fat pigs and plenty of tasty toddy. Heavy feast, heavy toddy that calls for rest. We shall stay back in Neer Payatre and learn more about this harbour town in the next part before we continue with our journey. Thank you.